If it weren't for Patrick Mahomes getting all the attention, we probably would have been calling Cam Newton the MVP of the first half of last season. The Panthers were sitting pretty at 6-2 and everything was looking promising until their quarterback was speared by TJ Watt right into his throwing shoulder. We all know Newton's season did not end on a high note after missing the last 2 games of the season due to injury. In terms of fantasy football, Cam is being drafted as the QB 13 and 106 overall. To me, that is way too low, and I think people are forgetting how good he actually was until this injury occurred, which was most likely in the Week 10 Thursday Nighter at Pittsburgh. So if we look at Cam's stats before the injury, he put up 1,893 passing yards, 15 passing touchdowns, 352 rushing yards, and 4 rushing touchdowns in only 8 games. If he did that over a full season, he probably would have received some MVP votes. Over 16 games, that would have been 3,786 passing yards, 30 passing touchdowns, 704 rushing yards, and 8 rushing touchdowns. Those numbers would have made him the number 2 overall quarterback last season and the 4th highest scorer in fantasy overall. Unfortunately, we did not get to see that due to the brutal hit he took on his shoulder. But the good news is that in 2019, you can get Cam Newton for a very cheap price. He's currently going behind quarterbacks like Jared Goff, Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, Phillip Rivers, and Carson Wentz. A healthy Cam Newton is the type of player that can lead you to a fantasy championship, especially if you get him in the 9th round. If Cam did not get hurt last season, he'd most likely be a 4th or 5th round pick after a season like that. So due to the injury, you're getting him for 4 or 5 rounds cheaper. So let's look at the rest of the Panthers offense heading into 2019. PFF has their offensive line ranked at number 10 overall, which is very respectable and should be more than enough for a guy with the skill set that Cam Newton possesses. As for their receivers, everyone loves to hype up Curtis Samuel and DJ Moore, but the Panthers do have some nice veterans that can also get the job done. Of course, Greg Olsen should be back and healthy at tight end, and they also signed Chris Hogan over the offseason. Even behind him, they have guys like Jarius Wright and Torrey Smith and tight end Ian Thomas. So honestly, their receiving core is looking pretty solid. We all know how dangerous their star running back Christian McCaffrey is, and him being great can only make Cam Newton better. McCaffrey is one of the most skilled pass-catching running backs in football, and if his combined 187 receptions in his first 2 seasons doesn't prove that to you, then I don't know what will. So obviously the Panthers have something good going on offense, and as long as health is on Cam's side, we could see that MVP form, and this time over a full season. If you can get a player who has the upside of scoring the most fantasy points in the 9th round, I recommend taking that gamble every time. Remember, we play to finish in first, not just make the playoffs. The latest on Cam's injury is that he's on track to be ready for training camp, which is great news. He received surgery on that shoulder in January, and the team physician says that the cartilage damage in his shoulder was much less severe than anticipated. Cam is now 30 years old and apparently taking great care of his body as well. He reportedly dropped to 240 pounds while utilizing a new trainer and a vegan diet. The man seems committed to do great things this season, and I am certainly not going to ignore that. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys next time.